have you join me on Global News and Zuma Nigeria. We begin with South Korea fires shots as North Korean forces cross border again. Trump proposes green cards for U.S. college foreign graduates. Deadly rains batter southern China, threatening millions. Putin says South Korea is arming Ukraine a big mistake, and charges against Gaza protesters at Colombia dropped. South Korea's military has said it fired warning shots after many North Korean soldiers briefly crossed the border, the third such incident this month. The incident happened on Thursday when the North Korean soldiers crossed the military demarcation line running through the middle of the demilitarized zone DMZ at around 11 a.m. local time, the Joint Chiefs of Staff JCS said. On Friday, the JCS said after our military's warning broadcast and warning shots, the North Korean soldiers retreated backwards. The similar incidents took place on Tuesday and on June 9th. On both occasions, which Seoul has said appeared accidental, the North Koreans retreated immediately after warning shots were fired. Nuclear-armed North Korea has deployed more soldiers and equipment to the border since abandoning a 2018 military agreement when South Korea halted parts of the deal in reaction to Pyongyang's successful launch of its first military spy satellites. According to Seoul, they have been expanding strategic routes and laying more landmines, which have led to casualties as a result of accidental explosions. The incident took place as Russian President Vladimir Putin visited Pyongyang for the first time in 24 years, and the two countries signed a mutual defense treaty that has raised alarm in Seoul, Tokyo, and Washington. South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yol and United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Friday condemned the treaty as a grave threat to the peace and stability of the region. According to reports, Seoul will also summon Russian Ambassador George Zinoviev to lodge an official protest over the treaty, which states that if either of the two is invaded or put in a state of war, the other side will provide military and other assistance with all means at its disposal and without delay. Ex-United States President Donald Trump has said he will automatically grant green cards to foreign graduates of U.S. colleges if re-elected, an unanticipated turn from the Republican known for his tough rhetoric on immigration. On Thursday, during an interview, Trump pledged to make it easier to bring talent to the U.S. and said anyone who graduates from a U.S. college should be able to stay in the country. A green card gives individuals the right to live and work permanently in the U.S. and offers a pathway to citizenship. His proposal, which will form potentially hundreds of thousands of new citizenship applicants each year, marks a sharp departure from the hardline positions on immigration that push his rise within the Republican Party. Trump, who once claimed migrants were poisoning the blood of our country, has promised to undertake the biggest deportation of undocumented migrants in U.S. history if re-elected in November, and has repeatedly attacked his Democratic rival President Joe Biden as being soft on immigration. At a campaign event in Wisconsin on Tuesday, Trump hit out at a program Biden announced this week that will let undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens to apply for permanent residence without having to leave the country. According to estimates by the Department of Homeland Security, some 11 million migrants are living in the U.S. without authorization. Although Trump has directed much of his ire at undocumented migration, he sharply lessened legal immigration during his time in office. The Trump administration cut the number of green cards and immigrant visas by 418,453 and 11,178,668 respectively, according to an analysis by the Libertarian Cato Institute, although most of the decline was due to curbs introduced during the COVID-19 pandemic. During his appearance in the interview, Trump said the pandemic had disrupted his plans to hand out green cards to foreign graduates. On climate crisis across southern China, tens of thousands of people have been evacuated, with more potentially at risk as deadly torrential rains continue to batter the region, causing flash flooding and mudslides. Since June 9th, no less than 13 people have died, according to a report from China on Friday, with dramatic footage showing urban areas submerged in water and buildings appearing to subside as emergency responders in speedboats raced to rescue stranded residents. On Friday, at least 9 of the deaths had occurred in the city of Meizhou in Guangdong province, among the hardest hit places amid reports of record flooding along the banks of the Songyang and Shiku rivers. The southern province is an economic powerhouse, home to 127 million people, and is subject to annual flooding from April to September. But the region has faced more intense rainstorms and severe flooding in recent years, as scientists warn the climate crisis will amplify extreme weather, making it deadlier and more frequent. Over 10,000 people were evacuated from Meizhou earlier this week, and as many as 130,000 were left without power, with authorities in the city raising the flood control emergency response to level 1, according to reports. China's flood control emergency response system has 4 levels, with level 1 being the most extreme. In the northern southern province of Fujian, reports said at least 4 people had died, with heavy rainfall affecting an estimated 586,500 people across 40 counties. And in Guangxi, a neighboring southern region to the west, reports said 48 rivers were running above flood alert levels, forcing authorities to introduce a level 2 emergency response. The Lijiang River, a famous and popular tourist destination that runs through Guilin, saw its worst flooding since 1998, resulting in over 6,000 people being evacuated, according to reports on Thursday. The emergency response to the flooding comes as Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Tuesday called for all-out efforts to safeguard lives and property as China battled with dire weather conditions, with heavy rains in south and severe droughts and record temperatures in the north. Other parts of China are also facing earlier and longer severe heat periods and droughts each year, triggering widespread power shortages and disruptions on food and industrial supply chains. Now, Vladimir Putin has cautioned South Korea it will be making a big mistake if it arms Ukraine in the war against Russia. His comments come after Seoul said it was considering such a possibility in reaction to Russia and North Korea's latest treaty to assist each other in the event of aggression against either country. Moscow will make decisions which are unlikely to please the present leadership of South Korea if Seoul decides to supply arms to Kyiv, Putin said, according to reports on Thursday. The Russian leader was speaking in Vietnam shortly after a lavish visit to Pyongyang, where he signed a mutual defense agreement with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Seoul had earlier condemned the agreement as a threat to its national security. National Security Advisor Chang Ho-jin said his country planned to reconsider the issue of arms support to Ukraine. Following Putin's remarks, South Korea's presidential office said on Friday it will consider various options in supplying arms to Ukraine, and its stance will depend on how Russia approaches this issue. Authorities are also anticipated to summon Russia's ambassador to South Korea to protest, reports citing unnamed diplomatic sources said. While South Korea has given humanitarian support and military equipment to Ukraine, it has so far refused to provide lethal weapons, as it has an official policy not to arm countries at war. Some in Ukraine have been hoping that a strengthening military collaboration between Moscow and Pyongyang will cause Seoul to rethink its approach. Analysts had earlier said that Kyiv will use Putin's visit to Pyongyang to up the measure. During the visit, Kim had also promised full support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There is rising evidence that Russia has already been deploying North Korean missiles in Ukraine. The U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby early on Friday weighed in on the Russian-North Korean agreement, saying it should be of concern to any country that cares about maintaining peace and stability in the region. He added that the agreement was no surprise, saying that the U.S. had been warning about the two countries' burgeoning defense relationship for many months. Talking judicial matters on Gaza-Israel conflict, New York prosecutors have dropped all criminal charges against most students and activists apprehended for occupying a Columbia University erupting to protest at the Gaza war. Of the 46 people arrested in April in relation to the occupation of Hamilton Hall, on Thursday, 31 had their charges dropped. University officials had authorized police to enter the hall after student demonstrators inside ignored a deadline to leave. None of the arrested students had any earlier criminal history, and all were facing disciplinary proceedings, including suspensions and expulsions by Colombia. All 46 protesters who were arrested on the night of April 30th were initially charged with trespass in the third degree, a misdemeanor. On Thursday, Manhattan District Attorney's Office told the court that they will drop the charges against 31 protesters, citing prosecutorial discretion and lack of evidence. Prosecutors also told 41 others that their cases will be dropped if they avoided being arrested in the next 6 months. The defendants rejected the offer and all are due back in court on 25th July. James Carlson, one other defendant, has 2 open cases against him involving separate charges, including arson for setting an Israeli flag on fire before the takeover of Hamilton Hall. He has also been charged with destroying a police surveillance camera. While in custody, Carlson has no affiliation with Colombia. U.S. college campuses were a flashpoint for protests against the Gaza war, which was sparked after Hamas attacked Israel on 7th October, killing about 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and taking 253 others back to Gaza as hostages. According to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry, over 37,390 people have been killed in Gaza since then. Students and activists across the U.S. have demanded that their universities, several with large endowment funds, financially divest from Israel. Divestment means to sell or otherwise drop financial ties. Meanwhile, cruise ship rescues 68 migrants near Canary Islands. Spain's Maritime Rescue Agency said in a statement, a luxury cruise ship rescued 68 migrants drifting off the Spanish Canary Islands on Wednesday. The bulk carrier Philip Oldendorff spotted a canoe-shaped boat drifting with people on board almost 440 nautical miles or around 815 kilometers south of Tenerife and provided first aid to those affected, while passenger ship Insignia was sent to the area, the Salvamento Maritimo statement said. The agency said the Insignia, owned by Oceania Cruises, rescued a total of 68 people and recovered 3 bodies, adding that it could not recover the remains of 2 people due to poor weather conditions. On Thursday, Insignia's crew reported that one of the rescued migrants was in critical condition and needed to be evacuated. He died before a search and rescue helicopter could reach him, the agency said. According to the Insignia's report to the agency, the 62 men, 3 women and 3 minors rescued were from sub-Saharan Africa. The 670 guest Insignia is presently sailing its 180-day around-the-world cruise. Data from Spain's Interior Ministry show a drastic surge of the number of migrants arriving by sea, especially to the Canary Islands. Between January 1st and June 15th, 23,037 migrants have arrived in Spain by sea, a 122.6% addition compared to the 15 period last year. Of those, 18,977 have arrived to the Canary Islands by sea, a surge of 220.9% compared to the same period last year, according to Spain's Interior Ministry. Earlier this month, Spanish NGO Caminado Fronteras said that at least 5,000 migrants have died trying to reach Spain this year between January and May, an average of 33 people per day. In Africa, United Nations says don't forget Sudan as war displaced face hunger. Filippo Grandi, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, has called on the world to not forget the turmoil in Sudan, which has been overwhelmed by violence since April last year. Grandi pushed for peace as he visited a transit center in Rank set up by the UNHCR in South Sudan's Upper Nile state close to the Jordan border with Sudan. The center was initially built to accommodate 4,000 people, but now has over 13,000 people living in and around it. The United Nations HCR chief met the family of Babikir Suleiman, who arrived in Rank in December 2023 to escape fighting in El Fasher in Sudan's Darfur region. The Sudanese family of 13 lives in a communal shelter with 2 other families. The United Nations earlier in June reported the number of internally displaced people in Sudan has reached over 10 million. Sudan's newest conflict started last year when rising tensions between the leaders of the military and the paramilitary rapid support forces exploded into open fighting in the capital, Khartoum, and elsewhere in the country. The war has wrecked Sudan, killing over 14,000 people and wounding thousands of others while pushing its population to the brink of famine. Still in Africa, delegates pledges $1.2 billion for vaccine production. At the Global Forum for Vaccine Sovereignty and Innovation in Paris on Thursday, world leaders, health groups, and pharmaceutical firms announced $1.2 billion in funding to produce vaccines in Africa. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed gaping global disparities in access to vaccines, including in Africa, which is facing numerous health challenges. Speaking at the gathering, French President Emmanuel Macron said the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator will be an essential step towards a genuine African vaccine market. Africa produces only 2% of the vaccines it uses, and the goal that we have set is that by 2040, that production is increased by 60%, he said. A recent resurgence of cholera in several parts of Africa has emphasized the need for more local vaccine producers. Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye told delegates more than 4 years ago COVID strongly disrupted our health systems and endangered our vaccination programs that were pushed into the background because of the necessity to fight the pandemic. According to the UNICEF report of 2021, at the height of the pandemic, 23 million children didn't receive the basic vaccines necessary to their normal development. The Gavi Vaccine Alliance, which assists distributes jabs for over 20 different diseases to poorer countries, also at the forum, announced it is hoping to raise $9 billion for its vaccine programs. It was one of the organizers of the forum. Gavi says the project targets to make up to $1 billion available over the next 10 years to assist improve Africa's manufacturing base to boost global vaccine market readiness and response to pandemics and disease outbreaks. The Geneva-based alliance says the accelerator will inject funds into manufacturers in Africa once they hit supply and regulatory milestones to use market forces to drive down prices and encourage investment upstream. Officials say the project will explore issues like technology transfer, which has been resisted by some Western countries with powerful pharmaceutical companies, as well as the possible formation of an African Medicines Agency and tackling regulatory challenges facing Africa's patchwork of legal systems. I'll take a short break, and when I come back, I'll bring you more stories from Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. Now in Nigeria, on emirship tussle, Kano government says Sanusi remains the emir despite court order. On Thursday night, Kano state government maintained that Muhammadu Sanusi II remains the emir of Kano, while directing the police commissioner to quickly evict Aminu Ado Bayero, the 15th emir of Kano, from his present residence at the Minis Palace in Nasarawa area of the metropolis. While talking following the ruling by the Federal High Court, preceded by Justice A.M. Liman, Kano State Attorney General Issa Dadiri explained that the court's ruling has unequivocally reaffirmed the validity of the law passed by the Kano State House of Assembly and assented to by the Governor of Kano State on Thursday, 23rd May 2024 by 5:10 p.m. He explained that the effect of the court's ruling was that all actions done by the government before the emergence of the interim order of the Honorable Court were equally validated. Happily, the signing of the law and the reinstatement of His Highness Emir Muhammad Sanusi II were done on 23rd May 2024 before the emergence of the interim order, which was served on us on Monday, 27th May 2024, he noted. The jury, boarded by the Commissioner of Information and other top government officials in the state, also said, according to reports, that the court had granted the application for the stay of proceedings pending the outcome of the appeal on jurisdiction presently before the appeal court. He further noted that following the ruling, the state government has directed the State Commissioner of Police to remove the deposed emir of the 8th Metropolitan Local Government from the government property where he is trespassing, as the government has already finished arrangements for the general reconstruction and renovation of the property, including the demolition and reconstruction of the dilapidated wall fence with immediate effect. He congratulated the people of Kano State and urged them to remain peaceful and celebrate the success without any hitch. And finally on the news, talking health matters, cholera death toll rises to 21 in Lagos, 401 cases recorded. No less than 21 persons have been confirmed dead in Lagos State, with 401 alleged cases reported to the State Ministry of Health following the outbreak of cholera in some parts of the country, with a rising number of extreme gastroenteritis cases across numerous local government areas in the state. Dr. Kemi Ogunyemi, announcing the development in an update on the disease in Lagos, the special advisor to Lagos State Governor on Health, revealed that the total number of cholera cases has surged to 401 across the state, with Lagos Island, Kosefo, Ikorodu and Etiosa recording the highest numbers. Ogunyemi, while providing an update on the outbreak after meeting with members of Lagos State Public Health Emergency Operations Center, added that the death toll had also risen to 21, an addition of 6 from the earlier reported 15 fatalities. She said the Lagos State government, through the Ministry of Health and all the sister agencies, was maintaining rigorous surveillance and monitoring of the situation and implementing planned programs and activities to curtail the spread. Ogunyemi urged citizens to seek medical attention instantly after they experience symptoms such as watery diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, generalized malaise and fever, stressing the cholera treatment was provided free of charge at all public health facilities, while noting that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu remains committed to making sure that residents of Lagos receive quality and affordable health care. The special advisor extended the gratitude of the state government to local, national and international partners including UNICEF, WHO, NCDC, NIMR, Red Cross and others for their support in combating the outbreak. Cholera, an extreme diarrheal illness caused by infection with the bacterium Vibrio cholerae, spreads primarily through contaminated water and food, thriving rapidly in unsanitary conditions. As part of preemptive measures following the initial alert and advisory issued by the Lagos State Ministry of Health, the state government activated its Public Health Emergency Operations Center PHEOC at Mainland Hospital in Yaba, Lagos. Announcing the outbreak of the disease earlier, the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, had revealed that the initial suspected cases of cholera were reported in 29 wards across multiple local government areas, LGAs, with 17 confirmed cases and 15 fatalities. A recap of major stories says South Korea fires shots as North Korean forces cross border again. Trump proposes green cards for U.S. college foreign graduates. Deadly rains batter southern China, threatening millions. Putin says South Korea's arming Ukraine a big mistake. And charges against Gaza protesters at Colombia dropped. And that's all on the news. Have a great weekend. I remain Lois Tureki.